Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Donald Trump warns Russia of sanctions until ceasefire deal is reached to push Russia and Ukraine to negotiate peace talks. Myanmar junta chief announces plan to hold elections by January 2026. 53 political parties already submit lists to participate. And on International Women's Day, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with beneficiaries at Lakpati Didi conference in Gujarat. US President Donald Trump on Friday threatened new sanctions and tariffs on Russia days after pausing military aid and intelligence support to Ukraine, and he called on both countries to get on with negotiating a peace deal. Trump's threat of banking curbs and tariffs followed a report that the White House was preparing to give Russia possible sanctions relief as part of the push to end the conflict and improve diplomatic and economic ties with Moscow. But the president offered a more conciliatory view of President Vladimir Putin in comments later in the day, saying he believed the Russian leader wanted peace. He also said it was easier to work with Russia than Ukraine in efforts to end the conflict. Russia, one of the world's biggest oil producers, is already subject to wide-ranging sanctions imposed by the United States and partners after February 2022. U.S. sanctions on Russia include measures aimed at limiting its oil and gas revenues, including a cap of $60 per barrel on Russia's oil exports. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a call with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha on Friday and told him President Donald Trump was determined to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict as soon as possible. Though Ukraine's position in Kursk has deteriorated sharply in the last 3 days, as Russia forces have almost surrounded thousands of Ukrainian troops who stormed into Russia's Kursk region last summer. The Russian counteroffensive has nearly cut the Ukrainian force in two and separated the main group from its principal supply lines. Russian forces also damaged energy and gas infrastructure inside Ukraine overnight in their first major missile attack since the U.S. paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the ongoing discussions with U.S. President Trump's team and aid support from European nations.
Сьогодні увесь день.
Today, the most intensive work with the President Trump's teams at various levels has been ongoing all day. Many calls. The focus is clear. Peace as soon as possible. Security as reliably as possible. Ukraine is committed to being as constructive as possible. Today, Russia's strike on our energy system and civilian infrastructure happen as routinely for Russia as ever, just as vile and cynical as always, as if there was no efforts by Ukraine and the world to end this war.
Жодних намагань.
And China has announced retaliatory tariffs on Canadian agricultural and food products on Saturday against Ottawa's tariffs introduced in October on Chinese-made electric vehicles and steel and aluminium products. The tariffs announced by the Commerce Ministry will take effect from March 20th. It adds a new front to a trade war largely driven by U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China and threats of protectionist measures on other nations. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in August that Ottawa was imposing the levies to counter what he called China's intentional state-directed policy of overcapacity, following the lead of the United States and European Union, both of which have also applied import levies to Chinese-made EVs. China is Canada's second-largest trading partner, trailing far behind the United States. And Senator Bernie Sanders brought his fighting oligarchy tour to Kenosha, Wisconsin on Friday, where he told a large crowd that the U.S. is living in an oligarchy. The 83-year-old senator urged the crowd not to accept oligarchy, authoritarianism or kleptocracy. Sanders criticized billionaires like Elon Musk and Donald Trump for pushing massive tax breaks for the wealthiest 1%, totaling over $1 trillion. He warned that these tax cuts would be funded by severe cuts to Medicaid, nutrition programs and education. Sanders began his tour on February 21st in Nebraska and added more stops due to the large turnout at his events. Now, the foreign minister from the 57 member.
I will not be telling you any secrets that politicians historically lie occasionally. It has happened once or twice. People stretch the truth occasionally. It happens. But what we have never seen is the use of the big lie in a way that we are seeing it right now. Let us never ever forget that real change only occurs when ordinary people stand up against oppression and injustice.
The foreign minister from the 57-member Organization for Islamic Cooperation met at his headquarters in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, 3 days after the Arab League endorsed Egypt's alternative plan for Gaza. At the meet, OIC members adopted the Arab nations' counter-proposal to U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza takeover plan. At a meeting held in Cairo on March 4, Arab leaders had adopted an Egyptian reconstruction plan for Gaza that would cost $53 billion and avoid displacing Palestinians from the enclave, in contrast to U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East Rivera vision.
It is certainly very positive that the emergency ministerial meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation adopted the Egyptian plan, which has now become an Arab Islamic plan. The next step is for it to be an international plan.
Syria witnessed worst violence since the fall of Bashar al-Assad in December last year. Syrian security forces battled to crush an insurgency by fighters from Bashar al-Assad's Alawite sect in coastal region of western Syria. Authorities also imposed curfew in the cities of Latakia and Tartus, where fighting has broken out. Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said more than 250 people have been killed since the clashes erupted on Thursday. United Nations said there is an immediate need for restraint from all parties. Russia too called on all leaders to stop bloodshed. Fuzel Ahmed reports.
Islamist-led government in Syria faces the biggest challenge yet to its authority, as scores were reported killed in 2 days of violence in the coastal region of western Syria. Residents say violence began with killings of Alawite civilians in the Datur area of Latakia. Syria's leader, Ahmad al-Shara, urged insurgents from toppled President Bashar al-Assad's Alawite minority to lay down their arms before it's too late.
We will continue to pursue the remnants of the fallen regime, those who refused but to continue their operations and tyranny, those who committed crimes against the people, and those who seek to undermine security and civil peace. We will bring them to a fair court.
While the authorities say violence spiraled on Thursday after groups of Assad-aligned militia targeted security patrols and checkpoints in the Jable area surrounding countryside, curfews were declared on Friday in the coastal city of Tartus and Latakia. In view of violence, reinforcements were sent to the coastal region to crush a nascent insurgency by fighters from Bashar al-Assad's Alawite sect. In northwest of Hama, Syria's new authorities' security forces held a funeral in Qasoon village for a fighter killed in clashes with fighters loyal to former President Bashar al-Assad. Syrians took to the streets on Friday to rally in support of the government in Damascus and other cities. The United Nations has expressed concerns over violence. In a statement, the Office of Special Envoy of Secretary General of Syria said, all parties should refrain from actions that could further inflame tensions, escalate conflict, exacerbate the suffering of affected communities, destabilize Syria, and jeopardize a credible and inclusive political transition. While Russian Foreign Ministry on Friday said it was alarmed by a sharp deterioration in security situation in Syria and called on all respected leaders of the country to try to stop the bloodshed as soon as possible. According to UN, more than 300,000 refugees have returned to Syria since President Assad was overthrown, while nearly 1 million more people were displaced inside the country have returned to their homes.
1 million internally displaced people living in camps and sites across northwest Syria intend to return to their areas of origin within the next year. 600,000 of them before the end of the summer 2025, according to a new large-scale intention survey carried out by UNHCR.
Bashar al-Assad was toppled in a lightning offensive late last year by rebels who have now formed a transitional government. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India.
And Greece's centre-right government narrowly survived a no-confidence vote on Friday, despite intense public outcry over the country's deadliest train crash in 2023. The opposition had accused Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis' government of negligence and cover-up, but the ruling party denied any wrongdoing. The train crash has sparked widespread anger, with hundreds of thousands demanding justice and accountability. Protests outside Parliament turned violent, with clashes between demonstrators and police resulting in 61 detentions. Mitsotakis ruled out an early election, citing the country's economic recovery. However, the government's popularity has taken a hit, with many Greeks questioning the immunity enjoyed by politicians. And South Carolina executed a convicted murder by firing squad on Friday, the first use of the method in the United States in 15 years. Brad Sigmund chose to be killed by a firing squad, saying he feared the alternatives of the electric chair or lethal injection would risk a slower and more torturous death. Sigmund was convicted of beating to death his ex-girlfriend's parents, William and Gladys Lark, with a baseball bat at their home in the town of Taylors in 2001. After he was shot, Sigmund appeared to take 2 short breaths and a bloodstain appeared on his chest. He was pronounced dead about 3 minutes after the shots were fired. A few hours before the scheduled execution time, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected Sigmund's final petition to halt his killing. The court, in a brief unsigned notice with no noted dissents, denied his application, which argued that South Carolina's refusal to share information about its lethal injection protocol violated his due process rights. And the anti-abortion movement in the United States has set its sights on a new target, which is doctors sending pills across state lines to help women and unwanted pregnancies. Since the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn the federal protection of the right to an abortion, states like Texas and Louisiana have adopted tough anti-abortion laws. Texas and Louisiana are launching a legal case against a doctor in New York, a state which in turn has passed a shield law to protect its physicians from outside prosecutions. In Texas, Attorney General declared that out-of-state doctors may not illegally and dangerously prescribe abortion-inducing drugs to Texas residents. And Myanmar's military junta chief Min Aung Hlaing has announced plans to hold a national election by January 2026. Speaking during a visit to Belarus, Hlaing emphasized that the election would be free and fair, signaling the junta's intention to return to civilian rule. Adding to that, Hlaing informed that 53 political parties have already submitted their list to participate in the election. However, the country remains in a state of political turmoil since the military coup in February 2021, which ousted the democratically elected government led by Aung San Suu Kyi.
We plan to hold a free and fair election soon under the law. We are planning to hold the election in December 2025 or at the earliest by January 2026.
And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inspected the country's first nuclear-powered missile submarine, as reported by state media on Saturday. Kim also inspected large new warships under construction at 2 locations, one on each coast. During the visit, Kim declared that the vessels will be deployed soon. According to North Korea's state media, Kim said that the naval power and its nuclear armament was crucial to the sovereignty of the country. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visits Ireland. US Department of Justice dropped proposal to force Google to sell its investments in artificial intelligence companies.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on his second and last day of Ireland inaugurated India's newest consulate in Belfast in Northern Ireland. He said that the consulate will serve the needs of the Indian community while also exploring further cooperation in trade, technology, business and education. Dr. Jaishankar also met Deputy First Minister of Northern Ireland Emma Little Pengelly BL and Junior Minister Eiling Relly SF in Belfast. He thanked them for all support in setting up of the Indian consulate. The leaders discussed possibilities for deepening India's engagement with Northern Ireland, especially in skilled cyber, tech, creative industries and manufacturing. Dr. Jaishankar also visited Queen's University in Belfast, where he said that their upcoming campus in Gift City, Gujarat is an example of the potential of India-UK ties in the education. The minister appreciated the interaction with Indian students currently studying at the university. As Dr. Jaishankar nears his UK and Ireland visit, the minister spelled out 3 focus areas of the India-UK ties.
The focus number 1 is to obviously serve the Indian community, which is about 10,000 and growing. Focus number 2 is to explore the economic opportunities here, and we see those opportunities increasing because our ties with the UK are deepening, and this is also a meeting point in a way for the UK with the European Union. Focus number 3 is actually education and technology. We have a number of IT companies here. We have an important university here, the Queen's University, which is decided to set up a presence in India. And of course, it has, this is a part of UK where there's a strong history of manufacturing. There's a lot of industry here. There's a shipbuilding activity here. So there's lots really which are possible.
And the International Women's Day, marked annually on 8th March, raises awareness of the issues impacting women all over the world. This year's theme is For All Women and Girls, Rights, Equality, Empowerment. The year 2025 also marks 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for actions to defend and advance women's rights. In India, President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings on International Women's Day. Also on International Women's Day, women achievers took over PM Modi's ex-handle. Fuzail Ahmed reports. The International Women's Day celebrates social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. This year's theme, For All Women and Girls' Rights, Equally Empowerment, calls for action to unlock equal rights, power and opportunities for all women and girls. In line with this year's call for action, a metro station in Borivali, Mumbai made history by being managed and operated entirely by an all-women team. The year 2025 also marks the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. Secretary General urged action-oriented approach to empower women. UN Chief in a statement said,
"When the doors of equal opportunity are open for women and girls, everyone wins. Equal societies are more prosperous and peaceful and the foundation of sustainable development. We need action to unlock finance so countries can invest in equality and to prioritize those investments. Action to open up equal opportunities for decent work, close the gender pay gap and tackle challenges around care work. Action to strengthen and implement laws to end all forms of violence against women and girls. Action to secure women's full participation in decision-making, including in peace building. And action to remove the obstacles to women and girls in the fields of science, technology, engineering and mathematics.
India's President Draupadi Murmu extended greetings on International Women's Day. President called for pledge to support women in their journey.
देश की नारी शक्ति राजनीतिक, आर्थिक और सामाजिक रूप से सशक्त बने और विकसित भारत के हमारे संकल्पों को नेतृत्व प्रदान करे, इसके लिए भारत सरकार निरंतर प्रयास कर रही है। नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम के द्वारा लोकसभा और विविध विधान सभाओं में महिलाओं के लिए आरक्षण का प्रावधान उनके राजनीतिक सशक्तिकरण की दिशा में ऐतिहासिक कदम है।
On International Women's Day, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi handed over social media accounts to women achievers. These women belong to different parts of India and have excelled in different areas. Prime Minister wrote on social media platform X, "Since morning, you have all seen inspiring posts by extraordinary women sharing their own journeys and inspiring other women. These women belong to different parts of India and have excelled in different areas. But there's one underlying theme, the prowess of India's Nari Shakti. Their determination and success remind us of the boundless potential women hold. Today and every day, we celebrate their contributions in shaping a Viksit Bharat." Numerous events are being held in India to mark International Women's Day. In Hyderabad, City Police organized the Run for Action 2025 program on Necklace Road, Hyderabad. While in national capital Delhi, the Fit India Pink Cyclothon Season 2 themed Sashakt Nari was flagged off to mark International Women's Day. A lot has changed since 1975 when International Women's Day was celebrated for the first time. However, more needs to be done to see women at the driver's seat. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with Lakpati Didi scheme beneficiaries in Navsari district, Gujarat on International Women's Day. Roads in Navsari turned into a grand celebration with people lining the streets in joy and admiration to welcome Prime Minister Modi. Interestingly, the security arrangements of the program is being taken care by the women police officials of Gujarat Police. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the Lakpati Didi Sammelan in Navsari district in the western state of Gujarat on International Women's Day on Friday. The Prime Minister was felicitated at the Lakpati Didi program in Vansi Borse, where he addressed over 1.1 lakh women during the event. As part of the event, Prime Minister Modi also honoured 5 Lakpati Didis with Lakpati Didi certificates. The Prime Minister distributed cheques to the Lakpati Didis. Prime Minister Modi launched 2 new initiatives by the government of Gujarat, G Safal and G Maitri. G Safal will provide financial assistance and entrepreneurial training to SHG women from Antyodaya families in 2 aspirational districts and 13 aspirational blocks of Gujarat. G Maitri will offer financial support and mentorship to startups working to improve rural livelihoods. And addressing the gathering at the Lakpati Didi Sammelan in Gujarat, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the transformative power of women's empowerment, stating that when women become Lakpati Didis, they change the destiny of entire family. He mentioned about the government's commitment to strengthen self-help groups, noting a 5-fold increase in the budget and the provision of loans up to 20 lakh rupees without guarantees. Take a listen.
गांधी जी कहते थे, देश की आत्मा ग्रामीण भारत में बसती है. गांधी जी के कि देशનો આત્મા ભારતના ગામડામાં છે. आज मैं उसमें एक पंक्ति और जोड़ता हूं. ग्रामीण भारत की आत्मा ग्रामीण नारी के सशक्तिकरण में बसती है. इसलिए हमारी सरकार ने महिलाओं के अधिकारों को और महिलाओं के लिए नए अवसरों को बड़ी प्राथमिकता दी है। आज भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बन चुका है। जब हमारी एक बहन लखपति दीदी बनती है तो पूरे परिवार का भाग्य बदल जाता है। महिलाएं अपने काम में गांव की दूसरी महिलाओं को भी जोड़ती है और मेरा तो विश्वास है जिस काम को माताएं बहनें हाथ लगाती है ना, उस काम का गर्व भी बढ़ जाता है। धीरे धीरे घर से शुरू हुआ काम एक आर्थिक आंदोलन बन जाता है। सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप के इसी सामर्थ्य को निखारने के लिए बीते 10 वर्षों में हमारी सरकार ने इसके बजट को 5 गुना बढ़ा दिया। इन स्वयं सहायता समूहों को 20 लाख रुपए तक का बिना गारंटी का लोन दिया जा रहा है।
And the US Department of Justice has dropped its proposal to force Google to sell its investments in artificial intelligence companies, including Anthropic, a competitor to OpenAI. The DOJ had sought to boost competition in online search by requiring Google to divest its AI investments. However, the DOJ still seeks to require Google to sell its Chrome browser and take other measures to address the company's alleged illegal search monopoly. Google has argued that these proposals would harm American consumers, the economy and the national security. The case is part of a broader crackdown on big tech companies, with Apple Meta Platforms also facing allegations of maintaining illegal monopolies. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.